Says you're live.
Hi.
So we must be live. All right.
This is not
Well, hey
awkward.
everybody. Yeah, here, let's go. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, you want to tune in on yours and we'll see if we can see the chat there.
On YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Okay, while Ashley's tuning in, let me just say hi. Welcome to Reach Out Reptiles and our first YouTube live video. My name is Garrett. This is Reach Out Reptiles. And my lovely assistant here is Mrs. Garrett Hartle, otherwise known as Ashley Hartle. And for this week, for Talk 'em Up Tuesday, one of the things that we thought we would like to do is actually do a live interview from the snake room here with my wife. One of the most common questions that people have about me, hey, how's it going, TJ's Reptile World? Those of you guys, you respond to their comments and I'll jump into this
Okay.
here.
TJ's Reptiles is doing good.
Those of you guys that have been watching the channel for a while know that Talk 'em Up Tuesday is kind of about getting to know the people that are behind the scenes in the reptile industry rather than like just the reptiles themselves. So like a lot of times, I think when we look at breeders or people who are in the industry, we kind of see them for, oh, did you see this snake that so-and-so produced? And we really only know the names because, hey, what's going on? Because of the animals that they've produced. And sure, that's how we get to know each other. I mean, a lot of you people who are watching are probably watching because you're interested in super dwarf and dwarf reticulated pythons. But there's this whole other element to it. You know, as a breeder, a professional, as you start attending shows and things like that, you really start to meet people, don't you, over the years. So Ashley probably knows as much about the people in the industry as you do the animals. I'm sure you know more about the people than what they've produced.
I know names. And yes, I guess I know some things that they've produced, but it's nice to go to the shows. Like we went to Tinley or whatever in October and to kind of have names to faces. And he'll talk about all of you guys.
I'll ask you this. Would you say you know someone like the Brewer family, Jay, Becky, Laura,
they were
Juliet,
at our wedding, so.
Andrea, yeah, and the whole gang, Uncle Louie.
Yeah.
Do you know them more, or do you know more like what Jay's latest production was?
No, I know them more. So
yeah, so we're talking about the people behind the industry, and what's cool is, you know, a lot of the industry is goes around me from my perspective, so that I can share with you guys what it's like. Some of my favorite things about the industry are actually the connections that I make with the people there. And so this is an attempt to do that, and hopefully it goes well and you guys enjoy this. I meant it so that it can be kind of interactive. You guys can go ahead and send your comments, and Ashley's got her phone here, so she's actually seeing your comments there, and she'll actually answer any of the questions that you guys have. And I think that that's a balanced viewpoint. Any of you guys that are married or in long-term relationships know that you might see the world one way, right? But then if we were to go ask your significant other, she might actually say something totally different, she or he. So that's the kind of the point here. But let's go ahead and get in. You guys feel free to interrupt. I'm gonna go through just like this is sort of like one of our regular interviews, but live style. So jump in, interrupt, throw down some comments. If you guys have questions for Ashley or myself pertaining to the stuff that we're talking about, just jump right in and we'll make note of your comments and try to address all of these things as we go. So this is kind of a funny question for you and me, but you know the first question I always ask in these interviews. What is it, guys?
How did we meet? How do we know each other?
Exactly. How did we meet? So, yeah, how did we meet each other? You want to go into that?
Well, oh, look, we already have another question. We should do a different question. Actually, I don't necessarily always like answering this question, but I'll just lay it out there. So we met at camp. That's the short story.
Good question. We'll get to that in a second.
The long story is, I guess, not just at camp, but
I was a staff at a camp that she was attending. So we met at like in the mountains in California at a summer camp.
Yep, but it wasn't like we were both staff or we were both campers. He was actually the guy who led a program that I was in it was like a 3-week program, kind of like a boot camp, and he was my leader. And you know, I don't like to talk about too much because he's 6 years older than me. So I met him when he was 22.
Robbing the cradle.
And I was 16. But nothing happened or anything. I did his program 2 summers in a row, and then we became friends after that. And then you know, the rest is history.
I would say we were friends that whole time, but we started like hanging out more and things like that. Got to know the family.
I hate that story.
So yeah, we met, you know, pretty young, and then got married a few years later.
Yeah.
But all right, so DER Reptiles asks, what is the hardest part about being married to a breeder? This is for you, obviously.
Yeah.
Although she's a pretty good breeder too. But
it got there. It just went there. Right.
Were you into it from the beginning, or did Garrett get you into it?
Get into breeding?
Yeah, the reptiles.
What's the hardest part about being married to a breeder? I guess, to be honest with you, I'm just thankful we have a basement. The smell, I think, is really the hardest part, is just smelling the reptiles.
In the basement? You don't smell anything up in the house.
Well, if I open the basement door, I can get a good whiff of it. So,
you're asking for it.
But I'm saying I'm thankful because they're now down in the basement. But honestly, the smell is probably the hardest. And I guess if you have eggs incubating and making sure you're going to be around, you know, when they hatch and plans.
Speaking
like
of which,
that.
I should check on those eggs right now. They might be hatching. Continue answering. What else is hard?
Great. And then let me think. See what your other was there. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never really been into breeding. I'm not against. You know, obviously he has his own company now, but I don't know. Have you ever? I've not really been like super into it, but I help a lot.
I did the thing that I think a lot of us reptile people do, where we buy ourselves presents that are reptiles and give them to the spouse.
Yeah. I did.
So what have I bought you over the years? I think the first one was actually a ball python. Believe it or not, do you remember that one?
No, I don't even remember.
It was from Ben Rennick. It was a female.
Is it a pied?
The pied.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
But
But he did give
ball
me.
python.
I somehow got into breeding crested geckos.
Yeah,
because I thought one was cute at a show, and then he came home with like 6 of them, and then I was.
What I did was
them,
every time I went to like a U.S. ARC auction or saw an exceptional animal at a reptile show, I would bring one home for her. Let me fix this lighting here, guys. That might be a little better. So yeah, so I got her into doing the crested gecko. She had a whole bunch of cages set up, and she's
I don't
going
even
through.
know what happened, guys.
You know,
She
she got pretty sick of it. It was fun though. I mean, we made a lot of cute babies, and we were selling them to local pet stores and stuff, and it was just kind of something for her, you know, me trying to get her into reptiles. But one day, I think you just looked at me and were like, "Why am I doing this? This is too much."
I think we had our 3rd son, and I just didn't want to have to keep cleaning the cages. They were super easy to clean, but you know, those who have children know that you have enough to do when you have.
So we ended up giving them all to a cousin of mine who continued on the crested gecko portion of Reach Out Reptiles. Yeah, that was in the early days.
Yeah.
So what do we got? So I guess DER Reptiles, I pretty much got her into it. And I wouldn't even say she's into it.
I know. I mean, I'm supportive, but breeding your ball pythons?
TJ's Reptile World. How long have we been breeding your ball python? You know, that's funny, TJ. I have never bred ball pythons, other than taking care of the ball python collection for a while at Prehistoric Pets back when I worked there. But all we do is dwarf and super dwarf reticulated pythons. And I got my first dwarf reticulated python. It was a pure Jampea female when I was 16 years old. And I've had them pretty much ever since. I mean, there was a couple of bouts there where I was like without animals entirely. But every time I got back in, I jumped right back into dwarf and super dwarf retics. So it'll be 20 years next year that I've been doing the dwarf and super dwarf retics. And with the Reach Out Reptiles now, that's what we're doing exclusively. We don't even do mainland retics. So.
Josh, I need to tell my wife, Lisa, that I need more snakes.
Oh, Lisa, you definitely need more snakes. But go tell Josh that he has to be responsible and buy super dwarfs so that, you know, they don't eat you out of house and home.
That is wise. I'll second it. Google Frenzy, what's your best advice for nippy Woma pythons?
Oh, nippy Woma python. Well, Woma pythons are a little bit different. Right? We did do a handling and snake training video. I think we've actually done 2 different ones. And basically with any pythons, you just want to handle them normally like you're not afraid. Here, I'll show you. Hold on. I'll try to find a nippy one. I don't know if I have anything
the
too
one
nippy.
that Riley just got bit on today.
Oh yeah, Riley got bit today.
She
Are
was
you
snake
supposed
training.
to say that online?
I don't know. My bad.
Woo. Okay. Here's an F1 pure Coyote super dwarf retic that's a little bit out of control, can be a little bit nippy at times. But basically the way that I handle this snake, if you see I'm not super gentle with it, I'm obviously not injuring her, but I'm just going to handle her like as though she was tame and normal, so she gets used to that mode of handling, and she'll be okay. Yeah, you can be in your face. If you want to put them in your face, put them in your face. If you put snakes in your face, that's what you got to start doing when they're little. And, you know, they might bite your face sometimes when they're little, but you got to figure that out. Womas, in particular, though, usually their nippiness, they're kind of like a California king snake. Like, they're a little bit dumb and they always want to eat. So they're like continually, it's a food drive thing. So what I would recommend is something like hook training them, or doing some kind of regular routine every time they feed, so that they know exactly when they're going to eat and not eat. What do you got for us?
DR Reptiles, have you ever been scared of the snakes, or have you been okay with them from day one? You would have to attest to this, because I honestly don't remember. Like, I remember at camp you had a lot of snakes in your room and we were like helping you clean it. I don't remember being scared.
Ashley's never had like an irrational fear of snakes. She's probably one of the few people on the planet that's like totally neutral. Like, oh look, there's a chipmunk. Hey, there's a snake. You know, like, it's just another animal. Most people, I think, are either really interested in them or terrified of them. Mm-hmm. She's been pretty neutral. Now, we have had some times when you got scared around snakes.
Oh, when they're in the
Can
bathroom
you think of any?
And they're not supposed to be?
Oh, yeah. Early on in our one-bedroom apartment.
I was super pregnant, and I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Sorry if that's TMI. And I went back to the bed, and then all of a sudden everything's crashing down in the bathroom, and we go in, and there's this giant, was it particularly a python? I don't even know.
Yeah, it was a mainland tiger retic that had escaped.
Oh my gosh, right
was, like,
over the window, right above me where I was sitting.
Hi, Shelly.
Moments before.
Yeah, so we've had some scary. I used to have a really big mainland female. I mean, really big, and she was horrible. She had a terrible temperament. Do you remember this girl at the ranch?
Oh yeah.
And so one time she broke out of this cage. Yeah. She just basically went pow and popped 3/4 inch thick glass and just broke it out. And so
she ate goats.
Yeah, she ate goats.
That's how big it was.
So I would tell you the length, but then everyone will argue over how long she was or whatever. She wasn't over 20 feet, but she was getting close. And full of attitude. So this giant snake and glass and everything comes pouring out onto the floor. And this snake had, you know, like a 6-7 foot strike range. And I'm like, okay, honey, I'm going to grab her. We were just dating at the time. I was like, I'll wrestle the dangerous end and you just, you know, grab some of the body, because she was well over 100 pounds, and help me wrangle her, you know, into a tub or something like that, because we had this giant snake. I think I had to use a German Shepherd kennel, like dog crate for it, because there weren't any tubs big enough and stuff like that. So yeah, she was really strong. And instead of helping me, she got terrified and slammed the door, closed me in with the snake in a confined space.
He's Garrett, Hartle. He can handle it.
And she ran away to leave me to fend for myself. So yeah,
it wasn't just like it got out. There was like stuff all over the floor. I don't know where her head is. I don't know where she's gonna pop out.
She was a mean snake too. She was not.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was one of those situations where she busted out of her cage and then terrified herself and just went into like full defensive mode.
Mike T, who's watching the kids?
Mike, it's 10 o'clock. Don't your kids ever go to sleep? Yeah, they're all asleep.
Thank God they go to sleep.
If someone starts screaming upstairs and one of us has to run off camera, you'll know why.
Love your super dwarfs.
Thank you. I love them too.
Called me. Super dwarf retics are so awesome. Thank you so much. Gotta love the super dwarf retics.
Who's saying all these things? Oh. Yeah. Jay's balls. You gotta come get one. Yeah. No, we love the super dwarfs. I've been really developing them for a long time. I mean, the ultimate goal is to get. I mean, we're already to the point, you know, super dwarfs have this reputation of being flighty and bitey or whatever the case may be. We're way past that. Our snakes are all sweeties. Well, I don't know about all, but for the mass majority of them, you know, they're super chill. We work with them from hatchlings, and they make great pets already. And we have some that are exceedingly small, basically corn snake size, a little bit bigger than a corn snake sized retic. But there's not too many morphs in those. So what I would love to see is someday like a solid white retic with blue eyes. What's up, Mr. Cusco? I would love to see a purple albino and things like that in corn snake size, so that everyone can enjoy the intelligence and interactivity of a retic, but have something that only needs to eat like a medium rat as an adult. So that's my little spiel for Superdwarf. Sorry.
Miss Steel Fox, do you have a website that shows all the snakes you're selling / will it be available?
Great question, and one that I get asked probably 5 to 10 times every day. No, I haven't published an availability list or placed a single advertisement for a retic in, I think, probably the 3 years that Reach Out Reptiles has been a thing. We started the company in 2015. And the reason why is because most of the stuff, there's a lot of people that follow the breedings that I do. I tend to do fewer breedings that are higher end, and these are super dwarfs, so I mean, you're getting like, this next clutch is 11 eggs. And I have 30 people wanting some of those, and the breeding was done so that I can have holdbacks. So there's going to be limited availability on these things all the time. Now, that being said, I have availability at any given time, but boy, if I advertise, I don't know, it might just be like too much. They'd be blowing out the doors. So at this point in time, everything is word of mouth, and believe it or not, we actually do enough business that we can support a family of 6. Ashley doesn't work at all. We only do the super dwarfs. But if you guys do want to get a dwarf or a super dwarf retic from us, you got to get a hold of me. And I know that that's a little bit inconvenient, but one of the things that it really helps me do is kind of get to know the people, just like we are right now with a live feed video, that are going to be having my animals. You know, I can kind of vet them a little bit, make sure that they're ready. Not that I would necessarily, like, the small retics, really, in my opinion, if it's a really small retic, anybody can handle taking care of that if they have a little bit of reptile experience. But I kind of want to, you know, poke holes in what they know and see if there's something that I can help them learn to make sure that my babies get the best possible homes and stuff. So I like to make those connections. I don't do any, like, you know, buy it now kind of button sales online or anything like that where I'm shipping reptiles where I don't know where they're going anymore. Everything I know, you got to just come be my friend, basically. You got to come get to know me, and then you can have one of the snakes. So if you want one, send me a private message on Facebook or email me. It's Garrett, Garrett, at reachoutreptiles.com.
Oh, the long answer. CMC Reptiles, hi. Shelly Reese, hi. Happy 4th of July, Reptile Wiggins.
Yeah, happy 4th, everybody. We got firecrackers going off in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear them, but...
DR Reptiles, that would scare me too, but I used to be really scared of them. Now I breed well. Awesome for you.
Very cool.
Goats? Yes, goats.
Yeah, well, not full-size goats, but
Babies.
she would...
Stillborn.
Stillborn, preemies, or baby goats.
Yeah.
But I had a huge goat farmer across the road, so that's really why. They were about the size of like a big jumbo rabbit. So.
TJ's Reptile World, that's got to be a very strong retic. Yes. I know that's love.
Genesis Reptile says you're awesome.
Oh, thank you. Brian, we are not. This is... We're not.
Is this your time slot? We're wheedling in on your time slot? Talking about Tuesdays?
I thought his was 8 o'clock.
To be fair, Brian,
That's 11 o'clock our time.
I've only jumped in on like one of yours. I just figured out how to do this myself. So, and actually, the real reason why we're doing this, if you want to know, is because I went camping last weekend and procrastinated the Talk 'em Up Tuesday. Didn't get an interview done, and we've been saying we want to do this. So Ashley offered to do it tonight, and here we are, last minute, shooting from the hip, Reach Out Reptile style. Sorry.
TJ's Reptile World, they got a Savannah monitor. He eats like a pig. Reptile
Very cool.
Brian. 2 of yours, I handled that. They were super sweet. Love you guys, gotta drive. Talk to you soon. Bye, Brian. Plastic tubs or glass vivs?
Moogle Frenzy, very good question. I know that this is kind of a controversial subject with a lot of people. My thing is just making sure that the animals have best possible quality of life. With retics, I don't think there's a one right answer for every reptile and every person. I think that you need to figure out what's best for you and your animals. I tend to start the babies in plastic tubs, and it's because I can keep them totally clean. I can monitor them very closely. I just recently did a video about how to set up new babies, and that's how we do it. But as they get older, they become a lot more interactive and curious about what we're doing, not as shy about things. And so I like to give them, well, you can't see it, but directly behind the camera, I have 7.5 foot by 2 foot tall by 3 foot deep giant Vivs, which Vivs obviously are from Europe or the UK, am I right? But yeah, I like to set them up. I mean, ideally, Super Dwarfs do great in big naturalistic setups. They look really nice and they display well, and they use every bit of cage you can give them. So I'm always about encouraging people to give them the most possible. But that being said, I've been debating about getting some stuff that's at least like a tub on the bottom that I can pull out so that I can keep them really easily cleaned and stay on top of that stuff. And the reality is, and you can attest to this, a lot of our babies and all the way up through breeders, we take them out all the time. We have a jungle gym with the kids. They go outside in the sun, under the sky, climb around out there. They're out on the trees, like on an extremely regular basis. So I feel like even if they are in a cage that is more confined for safety and geared towards them, you know, staying clean and eating good and just being physically healthy, that, you know, we do get them tons of out of the cage and interactive time. I'm a big believer in mental stimulation for the animals. I know with snakes a lot of people don't think that that's necessary, but whether it's necessary or not, I think my animals appreciate it. 11 eggs, nice clutch, yes sir. We that's a good one for us. I'm very excited about that one. What are you saying?
Z Hutton.
Reach Out Reptile Snake, Garrett, chill as it comes. Can't wait to add the next. Thanks, Zach. Yeah. I mean, we really try. You guys have seen my daughter Riley work on stuff. I mean, she got bit on the arm a little bit today from a, you know, harmless baby Super Dwarf was that one I had out a second ago, and you know, she takes it in pride and keeps going, and we don't pressure her to do any of that stuff, but she just loves working with the baby animals, and she knows babies are babies. And you know, I think one time she was playing with a kitten over at our cousin Steve and Carrie's, and it bit her and scratched her, and nobody thought anything of it. And then they saw her snake bite marks, and they were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, your cat scratches you and bites you, and you don't care, you know." And really, there's a lot worse diseases and everything that can be transferred from cats than snakes. So we're just kind of not prejudiced in that way. So yeah, we work with them all the time.
Joshua Turner thinks you're a great teacher.
Oh, thank you, Josh. Yeah, I've actually been compared on this channel to Bill Nye. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's any truth to that or whatever, but you know, I'm a simple guy. I've been doing this for a long time. I just try to share whatever knowledge that I have in a simple way so that it's easy. You know, a lot of people in the reptile industry are like, I'm a scientist with a super huge ego because I breed snakes or something, and that's not really the truth. I mean, we're just a bunch of guys that enjoy reptiles, right? So why act like we're anything different?
Josh the Turner wants to know how the springtail experiment is going.
Oh, springtail experiment's going really good. I actually love it. They kick in, like they multiply as there's mold and they grow, and they do better, and they're taking over the mold. I have that one egg. If you watch the video, I can't even remember what the title was, but one of the videos with the incubation where I was pulling the eggs, it was a 12-egg clutch, and one egg was outside the coils, and I think mom pushed it out for whatever reason, so it obviously was dead within a matter of days, and it's not going to hatch, but I still have it in the incubator, and it has no mold on it. It's amazing. It's all brown and gross, but it had gotten completely molded, and the springtails mowed it down. And then the other eggs are like perfect pearly whites, and we're actually, I think we're at, what are we at here? We're at day 78, which is longer than most super dwarfs actually go for incubation, and no mold, so it's been great.
Did you always start with reticks, or did you start with ball pythons? Reese?
I did not. I actually started with rattlesnakes. But it's because, I mean, I had lizards and stuff, but my mom was afraid of snakes, so worked with whatever I could get my hands on, and at the time it was rattlesnakes. And at the age of about 16, I rescued a 6-foot American alligator. So that got me into crocodilians. So I really got my start with venomous and crocodilians and like worked my way backwards. I love ball pythons. Not as much like as a species. I mean, I think they're cool snakes, but they kind of frustrate me from a keeping perspective. So I've never stuck with anything long enough to go through and actually breed them. But they have undeniable draw for beginners. They're a great ambassador snake species. And, you know, the morphs and things that people are doing with them are incredible. So, you know, props to the ball pythons.
Still Fox, you just moved to the West Coast, so trying to hit up some of the reptile expos, get some supplies.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll actually be at Pomona. I don't know if you're going to that one or not, but the family will be in California. So if you're going to the Pomona Super Show, when is that? August? It's like first
13th, 14th?
Yeah, second weekend in August. I'll be there at least. I don't know if Ashley and the family will, so maybe we'll see you there.
Yeah. Doreen, folks, happy 4th of July. Ashley, do I love the reptiles? That's funny. Yeah. I appreciate the reptiles. I enjoy the reptiles. Love is probably not the word that I would use.
You gotta tell them real quick the story about the Ackies. When I was breeding Ackie monitors, Acanthurus, and you like hated them and you didn't want them, and then they hatched, and then your perspective changed.
I don't really remember. You tell the story.
Oh, come on. When we got our first like paycheck when we were married.
Oh, when you sold them and you got the... that's what I'm saying. I appreciate them. I appreciate you guys for buying the snakes so we can, you know, continue this business. And I just appreciate the money I get. It's hard. As a stay-at-home mom, you know, and the fact that you guys are supporting us and that you can do this and support all 6 of us.
We got married in the
amazing,
off season of breeding for Ackie monitors, but I was raising like cockroaches and things in the house to feed
in
them.
our bedroom.
It was a small like 1-bedroom apartment or whatever.
Oh my goodness, the things I did.
Yeah, and she was like super annoyed with them and stuck with me for months and months and months. And then when they did finally start laying, those of you guys who do dwarf monitors, they are cute. But they would just start pumping eggs out every summer, and they sold like hotcakes. I think at the time they went for like $600 a piece or something. John Adrenia actually has some of my old bloodlines. So if you watch the Talk 'em Up Tuesday with him, it was pretty cool. But when she saw those first paychecks, I just wholesaled them. So we were just getting big fat paychecks for batches of lizards, and she was like, "This is kind of cool."
It was a whole new world to me that people buy snakes and
reptiles.
reptiles.
Not me. I've been buying them for a long time.
See you later, TJ's Reptiles World. He has to go.
Take it easy, TJ.
The Genetic Hunters, what's up? My boy said you used to hook them up with the chocolate chip pancakes in the morning on the weekends. Oh, this is true. Waffles. Is that what he's talking about? The waffle Sundays? Waffle Saturdays? I don't know what he's talking about. The Genetic Hunters. When we were out in California, we used to have waffle Saturdays.
Oh yeah,
at our house.
You gotta let.
Is that what you were talking about?
You gotta let me know. You were saying that we were like your neighbors in Huntington Beach or something like that. So, all I see is your YouTube handle. I don't know who you are, but yeah, we used to do something that we would call was like waffle Saturdays or Sundays. I can't remember now. I think it says right there, but
yeah.
Anyway, we used to do like an open house, and I would just be cooking waffles for everybody. Anybody that wanted to come, like. Half the staff of Prehistoric came, a bunch of neighbors, stuff like that. We'd pass out waffles, just good times, you know.
Reptile Williams, my Uncle Martin had an 18-foot retic when I was 8. That's pretty big.
That's a big girl.
Austin says, what's up, guys? From Genetic Hunters. J-Balls, hey, Garrett. What a... Oh, geez, this is all for you.
Would a 4-foot by 30-inch by 18-foot animal plastics enclosure be sufficient for a retic or for a SD or bigger? I think it would, but there's a caveat in there. What I would do is put a shelf. If you go look at the very first Free Tip Friday I ever did, it's about maximizing cage space. And if you run shelving in those cages, and you're talking about a small super dwarf, then yeah, that's actually a great size cage. It'll give them room to climb up on top, run and hide underneath. And you're talking about, again, 4 foot by 30 inches. You have, I would put like, an 18-inch or whatever shelf going across the center there, and now you're talking about quite a bit of floor space, something like 16 square feet for a retic that may only be 6 or 7 feet long. Yeah, that's a great size. But it all depends on the bloodlines. You know, not everything labeled as super dwarf is going to be tiny. There are kind of the elite, really small lines, and then there's the bigger stuff. And it's always a balance. You breed to a larger size to incorporate more cool morphs, and then over time you refine those and get them smaller and smaller. It's a generational process that a lot of people don't have the patience for, quite frankly, and I think that's why we don't see more of it, because they're incredible animals. So.
PDR Reptiles, I know you feed a variety of food items to your dwarfs and super dwarfs, but what would you say is the best item to feed them?
Fruit bats. Honestly, the retics and stuff that I saw in the wild, some of the guys, I don't know if you guys all know this, but I actually used to live in Indonesia, and I go out and find reptiles on the weekends, and you kind of had the two kinds. You had the big-bodied jungle retics that would sit along game trails, and they're probably, I mean, I'm assuming they're mostly eating things like chickens, and they may get lucky and get the occasional like small deer or pig, but in Indonesia, it's funny, a lot of you get things that look like the Kellogg's roosters running around in the jungle there, and they're wild jungle fowl, and that's just where all of our domestic chickens came from. So chickens and birds is a great staple for them, but the largest concentrations of retics you generally find around like fruit bat enclosures. So kind of irrelevant. I mean, chickens are, they seem to do like real greasy poo and stuff like that. I guess if you kept them on that over their lifetime, maybe they'll, you know, develop good gut content for that thing. But basically all I try to do, whatever the food item is, I offer a variety. No matter what the actual species of animal is that you're feeding, just make sure it's lean. Don't try to get like the biggest rat that's twice as big. You know, like some of these people feed these like mammoth and colossal rats that are basically the same size rat as, say, a jumbo, which is 3 sizes smaller or half the size. And the rat's body structure is the same, but it's twice as heavy because of fat. You know, stay away from those fatty meals and just give them good athletic as though it was wild prey. You know, I mean, think about eating the fattened calf every day versus going out and hunting for your own venison. You know, you're going to be much healthier on a wild, lean diet.
Hey, Christopher. Joining folks.
What's up, Chris? Welcome aboard.
Love the thought of out of the cage. Very necessary. James Nelson, I've really learned so much from your videos. Christopher, love my little retic. Riley training is priceless. She
does a great job, and I'm really glad to hear that you're enjoying that retic. It's cool, normal little, you know, pos double het snow male, but I mean, he's gonna make the greatest pet for you and your kids for life. I'm sure of it.
Genesis Reptile, what are the kids' ages? We have a Kira 7.5. Riley will be 6 this month. Garrison is 4, and Finley is 7 months.
There you go. So 7 and down, 4 kids. Busy people.
Whip them out.
Plus starting reptile businesses and all that. So.
Yeah, I would not recommend having a baby and starting your reptile business all in the same year. That was poor choices.
That's a story for another time, but I'm sure you guys can think of a good question about that and comment down below.
This is fun. Are you going to set a time for a live chat?
I always thought so too.
What?
So,
Bill Nye sucks.
Anyway, go ahead.
Reptile Wiggins, this is fun. Are you going to set a time for live chat?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I do like the idea of throwing a video up and not editing, but maybe what we'll do... You know, the problem is a lot of people get... Like, if you watch my Talk 'em Up Tuesday videos, those are edited, and I sometimes have to record like a half an hour of conversation and then cut it all out before some people are comfortable in front of the camera. So, I mean, Ashley's awesome. Obviously, I don't mind being on camera or whatever, but
obviously.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes people are like a little bit weird about that stuff. Otherwise, I would do Talk 'em Up Tuesdays live every time somebody was in town. But I also think that, you know, I'd like to do a video that people could still watch later and enjoy as well.
Yeah. Moogle Frenzy, feed in the enclosure or in a feed box?
I feed in the enclosures, but then I tap train, and I basically, I don't disagree with people that feed in a feed box, but my thinking is this: whatever kind of routine you're going to do, be consistent with it, and your animal will learn it, and they'll notice the difference between you and food. I know people who have trained, they have like sliding glass fronts, and they only feed on this side of the cage, but then when they go in to pick up the animal, they go from this side of the cage, and they say that their animals learn that. So whenever they go in here, the animal's not in food mode. When they come in from here, it is in food mode. I sometimes feed in tubs if I'm pulling a snake out and feeding it and throwing it aside somewhere so I can clean its cage. And the animal will be in food mode, whether it's in a tub or in a cage or whatever. So that I'm inconsistent with, but what I am consistent in is petting them with a hook on the head, letting them know, hey, you're not going to eat right now, chill out. I'll pick their body up with a hook and then grab from my hand and put them, do whatever I need to do. So whatever it is that you choose to do what's best for you and be consistent in it, and your animal will learn it.
DA Exotics, hey.
What's up?
April Griffith, do you miss working with Jay and working with all sorts of reptiles?
That's a good question. You know, Jay's a big personality, and he's a lot of fun to work with sometimes. Other times, it's like tiresome. So basically, the way that he is on the camera, a lot of times he has that intensity all the time. And I mean, I'm an energetic guy, kind of too, but I sleep a lot.
He's like a baby. He needs like 14 hours of sleep. Like, he seems really jumpy right now, but I mean, so.
Whatever. There's that other perspective I'm talking about.
I miss him working with Jay, if that counts. I miss going there. I used to like.
Do I miss the Brewers? Absolutely. Do I miss hanging out at the Reptile Zoo? 100%. I think those guys get a lot of bad rap because they're in the public eye and stuff like that.
Okay.
But if you actually take the time to get to know those people, they're really awesome people.
All their daughters are like really.
It's so cool to see the plethora of species. He's done a really cool thing with the Reptile Zoo there. I did my best at my time there to kind of contribute to that and make it a better thing in ways that I thought were better. And some of that's lasted and some of it may not, but that's kind of all we can do in life, you know, is go into a situation and try to leave it a little bit better than when we left. So I love those guys. Yeah, I miss them, but I'm not really looking backwards either. This is our lives now, and we got to make this thing work, you know.
J Balls, very cool, and clearly springtails are working.
Oh yeah, they're great. I mean, I'm gonna tweak my systems with it a little bit, but I think I'm gonna stick with the springtails and the sim containers from here out.
Derek Wayment, can you talk about the inner workings of a snake? The other day you were talking about the snake's poop and how it could be the snake being dehydrated. Very informational.
Yeah. Well, this kind of goes back to why I keep the babies in the tubs. You know, when babies are processing, there's a lot of different things that you can do. I don't know exactly what your specific question is, but when you keep large numbers, I mean, you guys have seen my baby racks. I have something like 150 baby dwarf and super dwarf retics right now. Well, maybe not quite that many, but it's a lot. And when you go through and you're seeing all those snakes on a regular basis, you start to see like, oh, this snake, for whatever reason, is dehydrated, or this snake over here seems like, you know, it's pooping a certain way, and I know from experience that maybe it has some hardened yolk in its belly or whatever. They're kind of like specific things that you pick up along the way. You know, maybe what I'll do is start to like snap some pictures or short video clips explaining those things and edit them all together into one video, just like random observations that you can hopefully glean some things from. But after so many years of keeping the animals through multiple generations, you begin to see a lot of cycles. You've seen a lot of things, like I was talking about, don't use paper towels the other day. I mean, literally tens of thousands of retics and other species I've run through, and I've seen like 3 times where using paper towels is fatal. And that doesn't really happen with a lot of these other substrates. So I never recommend that stuff happens. I know it's rare, but I've definitely seen it. So, you know, just try to share that stuff as I think of it to you guys. But it's hard to think of, like, what do I know and how to, you know, translate that to you guys. These questions are great. Keep them coming, because it lets me know what you guys are wanting to see more of.
BC Pythons, Garrett, you're by far one of the best educators on reptiles.
Thank you.
J Balls, agreed. Bill, Garrett's videos are awesome.
Thank you, Jay.
Sweet Pomona Show, we'll see you, Reptile Wiggins.
Very cool.
Dream folks, you are one strong woman, Ashley. God bless you both.
Amen.
Very kind of you.
Takes a lot to put up with this.
This.
Not this. This. Not this. This. This is good. This.
Reptile Wiggins, I have to keep my snakes outside in a tough shed. My wife doesn't like snakes.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one. You know, sometimes like the sick ones or the cute ones are the ones that win them over. Am I right? Like if your wife sees you like doting on and babying something, it's hard to not
Even
feel
if
a
you had
connection.
ones that were pregnant, I don't know. I always feel so bad when they're laying their eggs and the poor mama, and I just
You can really see them straining and working, and
just
she's done that a few times
empathize
herself.
for them.
Yeah, so she ends
Not
up.
all so many at once, I guess. But
Sometimes
still.
a little bit of onomatopoeia is a good thing. You know, you kind of translate what your human emotion in the snake, even though that doesn't always work well, but it definitely helps to get the wife empathizing for the snakes a little bit.
Miss Steel Fox, if I can, I will definitely. College starts in August 3rd. Oh, college starts. Gotcha. J Balls, awesome. Thank you. Regardless, I'm getting mine from you. Sounds good. If I bought a snake, this is Miss Steel Fox. If I bought a snake time of day.
If you bought a snake, could I bring it to you at the expo? I would be okay with that. But with dwarf and super dwarf retics, my tip is this: don't wait till the day before the expo to buy it. Buy the snake when the snake you want or you're looking for is available, and I can bring it to you at the expo. Sure, yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to be vending at the expo. I'm just going to be walking around. But we have a lot of family in California, so I'll just ship it out there in advance and bring it to you there. That'd be great. I'd love to hand it to you in person and talk all about it.
Dawn, and I know who you are, Dawn. I met you and your wife at Tinley.
Garrett, I figured out how to send a message on here. Is that what you're laughing about? That's exactly my thing on Brian's channel.
No,
Ashley, how do you feel about Garrett's technique of fondling the male retics to get them in the mood? Laugh out loud, or do you not know?
This got real right.
Do you know about that technique?
No, I don't.
Do you want to know about that technique? Do you guys want to know about the fondling of the male retics technique that Dawn is apparently so fond of?
So you and Dawn are just talking about this technique, or I've never heard of that?
We occasionally,
I know a lot, but I don't know this.
As grown professional men, need to talk about the handling of our retics' nether parts. Yeah.
Gotcha.
What I was talking about.
I don't know, Dawn. And you,
what I was
honest,
talking
I don't really
about was that there was a retic that was being reluctant to breed. And it turns out it had a piece of substrate. I think while it was breeding, one of the hemipines got stuck on some substrate, and it pulled that back up inside, and it caused some irritation and stuff. He wouldn't breed after that for a long time. I didn't know what was wrong. So I manually averted his hemipines, or I popped the hemipines, and I was like cleaning them off. And he liked it and felt much better afterwards, and he's been breeding great ever since. So now you know.
I think I've heard that, actually.
There you go, Dawn.
I know a lot, I guess. But I don't remember. J-Ball, such a good info. DR, to buy diapers or move snakes, tough choices.
Yeah, it's an easy choice when you really need new diapers, though. There's no question.
Bow buns, burns and snakes. But don't forget to hit the like button.
Just throw another piece of unprinted newspaper.
Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button.
Oh yeah, hit the like button on there, comment below.
We don't even
know. Do you know why we advertise this stuff? Yeah, I really don't consider myself like a YouTube person. But the reason why we say that kind of thing, guys, is because this really is a platform for us to try to get information out. And when people are on the internet, people that you don't know, that I don't know, but they're searching for this very information, they won't find it unless this community, you guys, are interacting with us through likes, through subscribing to the channel, sharing it on your social media, commenting down below like you guys are. You guys are rock stars of that kind of stuff. But I've noticed when I get community feedback from you, all the views and the stats on the channel go way up because, you know, whatever the algorithm or whatever of YouTube is promoting the channel more alongside other channels that always win because of mass subscriptions and stuff. Some of those really big reptile YouTubers, you know, they'll drown out some of the other channels where, you know, maybe we're trying to give, you know, very pertinent information about a certain subject, and we don't do the clickbait type of strategies here. So we don't see those things unless you guys choose to promote us, which I'm fine with whether it happens or not. But just, you know, we say those hit the like button things just as a reminder to you guys. So that if you would like to promote it, that would be awesome. New to the channel, And you're putting out great info, my guy. Hey, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. A. Wynn. I appreciate that very much. Glad to have you aboard.
MG Exotics. I traded a large albino berm back when you worked at Prehistoric. First time I met you. Good to see you branch out on your own.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I have a lot of... it's really funny. I thought when I started the business, I would be interacting more with a lot of those older customers because I had great relationships with them back then. And I really haven't. I've been able to build up something totally new, which has been fantastic for us. So really rewarding. I mean, I'm still friends with a lot of the people I've always been friends with, but it's really cool to get to know some of you new, like up and coming guys in the industry. It's been great.
April Griffith, you two are amazing. You're amazing too.
Thank you, April.
Jay Miles, I'm still going to email you back about that special snake.
Yeah, hit me up. I mean, the special ones don't last very long.
Dan.
Do you guys want to see a special snake while we're talking? Hold on, let me show you the coolest tiger retic you've ever seen. Normal tiger retic, okay?
I'll keep going a little bit. Dan Colgan, hello to you. Tom 2, will you be at Pomona in August? Yes, you will.
Yes, I will.
Walking around, but not vending. MG Exotics, Don.
Look at this, you guys. This is a dwarf and super dwarf, just a tiger. Nothing out. Well, he's a Posset Snow. But this thing is insane. I mean, obviously it's a matter of personal preference, but that has got to be... This looks as good as any Motley Jag or crazy advanced morph. This is a definite trophy keeper animal, except it's a male. So it's like, you know, should I keep it? I have a few trophy males, but this sucker is crazy. So that's him. I don't know. What do you do with a snake like that that's like stellar and you want to keep it? I mean, I can tell you what I do with it. I just wait until someone makes me a money offer that's going to appreciate it enough, and I feel good sending it to them, and they make an offer where I'm like, yeah, I'd rather have that much money than that snake. Is that shallow and terrible? But I think what's cool about this snake is that when you get the dwarf and super dwarf crosses, a lot of times super dwarfs have that real thin, refined pattern, but they get cool banding and awesome pattern on them. And then the mainlands have a more kind of just a blah pattern, but they have beautiful, thick, bold lines. This snake got the ultimate of both, best of both worlds. Yeah, you can go grab it. Let me see that.
Sorry, bud.
Ashley's gonna grab her phone charger so we can still see your comments. You know, like scroll back and see them easily. But yeah, this guy's got all that intense, you know, super dwarf pattern, but the bold black lines, you know, bold black and white. And this is a fresh hatchling, so I cannot believe when this thing starts to really color up. Let's see. I think we're here at Lori Turini. I love your educational videos. I have carpet pythons, but those videos really apply to any type of snake. Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, we are talking about dwarf and super dwarf and use those as examples because that's what we work with, but like you said, a lot of this stuff is across the board. Not even just snakes, but reptiles, and sometimes the stuff is just like life lessons in general. BC Pythons. Ashley, what would be the best advice, this is the question I've been waiting for, that you would give another breeder's wife, like when it comes to balancing keeping reptiles with family time, which I'm so good at, right?
Oh my gosh, we're so good at. What would be the best advice?
Best advice for a reptile breeder's significant other.
Well, clearly we're still just learning still. And we're
She's
not
talking
very...
about time management, and it's been, by the way, guys, just a few days over 1 year anniversary of me quitting my real job and doing reptiles full time. It's like, do I have enough to make my paycheck this week? Every week, and it's been going on for over a year. So I've been doing dwarf and super dwarf stuff for 20 years, reptiles my whole life, you know, commercially breeding for, you know, probably, well, over 20 years now. But as far as doing it full time and supporting a family of 6, we just passed the 1 year mark. So yay to us.
Yay to you.
Best
you guys. My
And
best advice.
You're a big part for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just communication and continuing to just talk about. I mean, I think I talk to you about maybe almost every day. Like, all right, we didn't do this very well. How are we gonna be better this week? You know. You worked really hard. How are we gonna, like, I think in the beginning he just worked a lot, and then we tried to set up times, especially being in a different time zone for all of you guys on the West Coast. We had to figure that out, so he comes back down at night after he puts the kids to bed to answer emails.
The hardest thing, like I was actually explaining to my daughter, she's like, "You don't have a boss anymore, Dad." And I said, "Well, you know, now that I have my own company, everyone's my boss. Any person randomly on the internet that has a question about anything at any time of day, you know, has the right to throw that at me, and I have to divert my time away from business, family, whatever else it might be, to help work with that person." So, and that's something that I want to do. I mean, that's the connections and stuff in the industry for me is what it's all about. That's why the logo has like a big bridge and everything. We're reaching across because we're reaching out to connect with you guys, but to balance the way that I respond and that kind of stuff. Those of you that have communicated with me probably noticed that there's certain times during the evening here on Eastern Time Zone or weekends that I either don't answer or I say, "Hey, yeah, that's a great question. Can I answer you on Monday?" You know, so that I can make sure that I still have some family time, especially with a growing family, you know. And you guys all understand that. I know you guys are awesome, so it's been great.
Yeah. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Best advice, what was it?
Communication, talk, just keep talking everything out, and I mean, I tell you how, and you have to tell each other how you feel,
and you really gotta trust. Like Ashley really trusts my decisions. I remember one time I was like, "Hey, hon, I need to borrow $3,500 for a snake tonight," you know, and she was like, "Okay." Now I don't think she would do that every day, but I don't ask for that kind of stuff every day. I'm a lot more self-sufficient with those kinds of things, but I had an opportunity that I couldn't pass, and you know, she believes in it, you know, whether or not she likes the snakes, she sees that they are providing for our family. She understands what's important about exactly what we're doing in this niche of the market, and believes and supports it.
Patrick McLeary, been working on a logo for my little adventure, and I wanted to know if you designed your logo or did you pay to have it to design for you. Great logo, by the way.
Thank you. I did design it myself.
Let's just stop right here. I have to be married to this person who designs his own logo and does all this stuff. Like, so when it comes to that last question,
Ashley
you
likes
gotta
to
be a
compare
really
herself to other
go-getter.
people.
I know, I'm just saying, like, when it comes to, like, how is it to, like, start your own business, like, your significant other, whether it's your wife or your husband, you gotta make sure they're, like, fearless and go-getter and are ready to do anything and get their hands dirty and work super hard. Like,
I would say that, who is asking the logo question? Patrick, I would say this. I designed my own logo, but that is a skill set that's within my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
My dad is an artist. You guys probably watched him. He's actually a cartoonist. And so I grew up, I did a lot of art and stuff. I know how to use different editing programs and things like that. So I went ahead and did that myself because that makes sense for me. Do I do my own taxes? No, I just hire a CPA because I suck at that. And she tells me what I need to do and make sure everything's above the board. So sub out the stuff that you can't do, you know, and then rock on the stuff that you do, you know.
Miss Steel Fox, definitely. I watched your recent video and saw a snake I liked. I'm a few hours from that show, so it would be cool to meet you in person and get a snake.
Absolutely.
Sarah!
Bring it on.
Has Finley started finally sleeping through the night? Ha! Kind of, sort of.
Like in the last week, yes.
Yeah, in like the last 2 weeks.
Our last baby, guys, he's
challenging.
Wonderful.
He's challenging.
He's a sweet
He's teaching
boy.
us lots of patience, and
he's
and super cute. He is not. Stop saying that. BMG Exotics. He's not a bad baby. He's challenging. It's the way. It's the words. You gotta use the right words.
I need easy babies. That's why I got snakes and not lizards.
BMG Exotics, keep up the great job. We'll hopefully see you at Pomona. Brian Cusco. I'm sitting here with your old neighbor Austin, who actually used to cook pancakes for her. What is going on? Who are you, Austin? I used to cook the pancakes. Me? First apartment, second apartment? Give us some details. Too many babies. I don't remember anything for the life of me. Genesis Reptile, awesome snake, Miss Steel Fox. Hi, Brian. Are you going to the Pomona show too? Brian,
Team Cusco for the win.
We don't know. We love Team Cusco.
Sarah's gonna start making.
Sarah, also, when are you guys going to start marketing your snake therapy sessions?
Sarah Justini, who's commenting on here, comes and actually volunteers to clean snake cages for me and calls it her snake therapy.
Z Hutton.
Yeah, we take advantage of things like that for sure.
Z Hutton, that snake though. Don Winston, Ashley, I don't know that is exactly the story. The next time I'm out, I will definitely have him demonstrate.
Thanks,
Hope you have a great 4th of July. Look forward to see you guys. See you. BMG excited. What fresh new project are you looking forward to in the next couple of years?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, honestly, this year, my big goal, this is secret, but those of you guys that have been watching us for like an hour now can know this. I really am trying to make a snow mochino super dwarf. And I'm doing some breeding loans with some people. I've got the genetics to make it happen. And we're working on it here, but that has been an elusive project for me for a long time. And as excited as I will be for a snow mochino, you know, what I really want to see is anery mocha stuff. So that's an exciting one. And then I always love adding new genetics, things like pied, hypo, and anthrax, different combos. Even just super dwarf genetic stripes, you know, don't exist. So, you know, throwing that kind of stuff in there.
Lance Quirk?
Glad I caught the live stream. Lucked out with my SO because I think SD is more obsessive when it comes to reptiles. Oh, my significant other.
Oh, okay. Oh my
good job. That's a good pairing there. Yeah, she definitely like cracks the whip on me a lot. So we got Dan Colgan asking if we vend any shows coming up. I do Tinley Park. I definitely vend in March. I am vending this October as well, so come see me in the big pallet wood booth. And then I do a local Pittsburgh show, and it's really just to show up and shake hands with people, guys. I'm not the kind of guy that like flips and sells a bunch of snakes at shows usually. I do bring snakes, so stack some money in your wallet and come see the stuff. But generally speaking, the animals that I'm producing here are things that take a long time and a lot of thought to make. So, you know, the people who are buying these snakes from me most often are people that are reaching out to me, say, hey, I'm looking for super dwarf. This is my price range, morph preference, sex, you know, locality that I want, adult size, and we work something out. I either have something for them, I get them on a waiting list, and when it becomes available, that's when it's sold.
BC Pythons, congratulations to you both. Keep up the great work, and yes, good advice as always.
Thank you, BC.
James Gregg, I just want to say thank you and say you guys are killing it.
Thanks, James.
Brian Cuskos, so sorry, Brian, don't be mad at us. I'll give you ice cream. I know you like ice cream.
Brian says we're bumping his slots and we don't understand
we'll wrap it up.
Point
we'll wrap
of
it
the
up.
live stream.
Don't be mad, Brian.
All we do to try to be successful here on YouTube
take over Brian Cusko slots
is just muscle in on Brian Cusko.
No, I'll buy you some
whatever
ice cream
he's
when we go
doing,
out.
she's gonna buy him some ice cream to help make him fat, so that he can fail in his athlete challenge that he's doing.
You'll be done with it.
Well, we continue
You'll be
to
done
succeed.
with it. DER Reptiles. Ashley, do you ever go to the basement and help Garrett when there is a lot to do, so you can still have the bonding time with him? Garrett, what is your tips on getting your family more involved? I do a little bit. I'm gonna be honest. With having a baby,
let's be honest, shall we?
with having the baby, I am exhausted. So a lot of times he comes up and I'm passed out on the couch already. But lately I have been getting better. I have come and I pick out music for him from that website for his videos. I'll sit with him when he has to clean cages sometimes.
She previews all my YouTube videos to make sure I
Yes.
didn't do some stupid editing mistake before I go up.
Not stupid, just leave something out. And so I'm going to be honest, I don't do a lot. Maybe once a week, if that. I would like to do more, and that's kind of what, like you said, bonding time, that's kind of what we're hoping to do more is, like, you know, Riley's doing the training. Kira helps a lot. She spent 7 hours last week helping clean the cages.
As the kids are able, I've been able to get them involved in ways that they want. Riley really likes bonding with the animals. Kira is a very hard worker, so she does a good job cleaning up. She'll come down and sweep or do dishes for me or scrub snake cages.
So we're moving towards that. Like I said, with having the baby...
Garrison doesn't have the attention span for it yet, but he likes to pretend he's helping.
Yeah, but Nope, we're trying. Garrett, what is your tips on getting your family more involved? Oh, what was your tips on it? Yeah.
Yeah, we covered it.
Reach Out Reptiles. Yes, I get to see you live. You have an amazing channel. I got to love retics on my channel. I have my mainlands, but need to get some smaller ones, and you are the man.
Thank you very much.
Brian
For the record, I love giant retics. I just like them at someone else's house so that when they eat a ton and cost a ton of money and take up a bunch of space, they're doing it for someone else. A big retic for me is something that's like a sight to behold, and I'm good for, you know, months to a year. I have a lot of friends with retics. I enjoy seeing their giant retics and coming home and working with my small manageable ones that breed and, you know, interact with me just as much. I have just as much fun with them, and it's a lot easier to manage a large collection. Nobody could single-handedly have as many giant retics as I have super dwarfs, I think, except maybe Don Munson, but it might be because of all his snake fondling.
Brian Casco, I'm coming to the East Coast. Hartle, sounds good to stay at our house. Darren Watson, what up, Brian? Thanks for the info. Adrian,
when are you coming to the East Coast? I don't believe it. Sounds made up.
Adrian Matthias, how's it going? Oh, these are longs, man.
What's up, Garrett? Met you at one of the local pets shows here in Pittsburgh last winter, but wondering why you never set up a booth at any of the other ones. I do. Maybe, are you talking about the Cheswick show? I came and threw some stuff on half a table with one of my cousins to help him sell some ball pythons. But I actually vend all of the Steel City shows, and I did miss one this year, but that show's once every 2 months. I come down, so go to the Steel City show, and I will see you there.
They wants to know what
Psychology
you think they're thinking.
and thought process of the snakes. What do you think they spend their time thinking about in captivity? You know, retics love food, so the way to their heart is through food. They're just like us. They watch us. They're curious about what they're doing because they're wondering if we're going to give them some food. You know, I mean, definitely males during breeding season have one thing on their mind, and they try to get at the females however they can. And then I have some really derpy animals that I don't think do much thinking at all while they just move around and trash their cages. But with retics, I think it's just always about when the next meal is. Honestly, they just love to eat. So, do I think that they, what do they think about us? Do they recognize us? Do they enjoy being handled or tolerate it? Do I think they have emotions? Super loaded question.
Yeah.
Obviously, something mankind has been trying to answer for a long time. As far as emotions go, I mean, they definitely have things like anger, fear, you know, and then peace. They experience those things. Certainly, my animals, I can say for sure, enjoy being handled. I don't know if it's so much the thrill of, you know, me putting my hands on them or whatever, but they definitely enjoy coming out of the cage and exploring around. And that depends on the snake, because I have other snakes that are very content to be left in their cage. They hate people, they're afraid of people, and they don't want to have any part of it. So I think they're all a little bit different. But the funny thing is, if you get a baby snake and you raise it yourself, it's amazing how much of the psychology of you that the animal takes on. Just like any relationship. I mean, we're talking about interspecies relationships there, but you and me think so much more alike now than we did when we met. You know, just through going through so much together. And I think it's the same with any animal that you live with.
Ball and boas and geckos.
Good stuff, guys. Thanks, Ball and Boas.
RJ Garner, thanks for always providing info in digestible ways. Taking time to break things down is an awesome contribution to the community. Ball and boas geckos just had 2 boa litters drop in the last 10 days. I love your vids. Great info.
Very cool. Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. If you're just joining us, please hit the like button. That's going to help this platform to continue to increase. I really appreciate all the interaction. That was fun, right? Hanging out with everybody and talking with them on camera.
Brian getting mad at us. I don't like that.
She's very codependent, Brian. Please text Ashley and tell her that you still love her. Yeah. She always thinks that you and Hillary somehow hate her for some reason. So if you could just trickle her some positive, comments every now and then to build her up, that would be great. As for the rest of you guys, thank you so much for joining. I think we were both kind of like, hey, this is our first live thing. Nobody's even going to watch, And I told her, I was like, I'll just run through the regular Talk 'em up Tuesday questions. We'll can it, and it won't be edited then. But no, this was great. I really enjoyed this. After we jump off here, if you guys want to see more of this, maybe put those kind of suggestions in the comments below. I don't know if it's something that we can like add onto our workload with everything else, but maybe every now and then I could do a Free Tip Friday that's live, or a Talk 'em Up Tuesday that's live, or a real special Super Dwarf thing every now and then, if that's the kind of stuff that you guys like. I really appreciate your interactivity. Thank you, babe, for coming on.
It really wasn't.
I really, honestly, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but sometimes I feel like seeing how the non-reptile half of the situation deals with it is something that that shows us how it's actually, is it, one of my most commonly asked questions, is it feasible? Is it possible to actually make a living, and a good living, breeding reptiles? And I think we can say, yeah. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if you do it all right, you can, but this half right here is going to be a big part of that. So anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much. We will see you. Are you sure you want to stop?